In the words of Jack Harlow and millions of black people before him, what's poppin', movie lovers? This is Movie Buffs. I'm not going to tell you what we do because at this point you know, right? Like I always...
Right, they better know.
I really like our tagline, maybe because I wrote it, but I always, my instinct whenever I'm doing the intro is like to give our little tagline, like, hey guys, like this is Movie Buffs, a podcast where me and Will talk about all things movies and TV in Kenya and beyond. But like, we know, like you get it at this point, right? Like it's called Movie Buffs. Like I feel like, sometimes I feel stupid whenever I'm like explaining what the podcast is about after saying the name, because I feel like you get it, right? Like you get it.
Yeah, definitely.
How are you, Will?
I'm good. How are you?
On this gorgeous, sparkling Monday morning. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm horrified it's Monday, as per usual. Like, you'd think that after, like, you know, like, being an adult for a while, you get used to, like, the speed of life, right? Like...
Yeah, that's what I'm
but you
saying.
don't.
Like, 3-day weekends with Mondays off.
It doesn't make sense.
That would be amazing.
Honestly, I don't even know why that was never the thing. Like, there are 7 days in a week. It should be an even split. We work for 4. We are off for 3. Like, why?
That's not even, but close enough.
It's close enough, right? Like, semantics. Math is not our strong suit. Like, whoever, remember, I think I saw a TikTok about, like, oh, like, this old white guy was the one who picked the 5-day work week. To that white guy and all of his offspring, you're the worst. You are the worst. So what has been going on in our life lately? Well, first of all, I feel like really the most significant thing is the reaction to our volume reel.
Oh, yeah, the volume video.
Yeah, which got people, I would say, like, half in a tizzy and half in a, like, yes.
Right.
So to the people who are in a tizzy, like, we get it. I definitely feel like I'll be totally honest. There was some nerves about putting that out, right? Like, we weren't totally confident because I think, you know, Will and I are really aware of, we don't want to damage anybody, right? Like, we don't want to not extend anybody any grace. And we definitely do not want to negatively impact the industry here. That's our number one thing that we don't want to do. That being said, I do feel like culturally as Kenyans, we are not good at, like, healthily criticizing our own culture, right? Like, we can say that something about, like, Kenyan culture is messed up, right? Without that being, like, a negative or hateful thing to say. It's just kind of like the reality in which we live in. And I kind of feel like, especially like as a journalist and as a podcaster, I feel like it's our obligation to tell you guys the truth, to keep it real, keep it 100. That's why we're here. So to the naysayers who were like, this is like negative, no, whatever. Like, I get it. Your concern is our concern. Your fear is our fear. Your protection is also what we're trying to protect. But I just feel like the way to do that is by being honest from a loving, caring, let's do better place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I think we need to be honest just about how we feel about things. And like what we were trying to do was never like put anyone down or
Yes.
just be negative just to be negative. Like, you know, we are just actually just being honest about what we felt about something. And it was cool to see that so many of you guys actually agreed with the feelings we had about it. Some of you disagreed, which is fine, but yeah, like we had no bad intentions with that. And like,
Yeah.
I think just doing things like that, like being honest about like how we feel about like content that people are making, it'll just make the content better because
Yes.
it just shows people like people who are making things that like, yo, people want like things that they'll really, really enjoy. So it just makes people want to like go harder, I feel like. So I think it's all positive.
I think so
Yeah.
too. We talked about this a lot in our last episode, the episode before that.
Yeah.
That like I think the biggest issue is that the bar is low. I think the bar is low for viewers. I think the bar is low for the creators. I think the bar is low for the rest of the world who doesn't even know that this industry exists. And so all of this, our criticisms, our favorings, our thoughts, our comments, is all so that we can all encourage everybody to raise the bar. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. Because to me, if we can compete, if Korean films can be shown in the US and be a crazy smash hit and win Oscars, like I really believe that Kenyan films should be in the same category. But the missing piece of the puzzle to me really is the bar raising, because when the bar is raised, there's a ripple effect, right? Like that'll mean more funding. It'll mean
Yeah.
more opportunities. It would mean, like more voices, more people listening, more people viewing.
Yeah.
It starts with us. It starts at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to encourage.
Yeah,
Anyways.
and I think it goes further than just like because I remember a lot of people were saying that, we should be like proud of what we're able to do as Kenyans right now. And I agree with that a bit, but also I feel like we we shouldn't be trying to like make things that are like, I don't think we're saying that things should be exactly like they are like in those Hollywood movies. Like
Yes.
it's not like if
That's
we
not what
have
we're saying.
you know, if we have like a crime based movie or something, it doesn't need to look like a Hollywood blockbuster for it
Mm-hmm.
for us to like for Kenyans to feel like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
Like I think it just goes down to the very basic things. So it's not about like what Hollywood studios can achieve versus
Yes.
Kenyan production companies. It's just
Yes.
like the quality of the simple things, like the story,
The
the
characters.
characters, the acting, like just those simple things that we can do and we can actually do well. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
like it doesn't have to be like explosions. It's like it doesn't have to be like Die Hard. You know what I mean? Like, but
Right.
you know, like we can still make interesting things that are like,
Yeah.
you know, made here, made by people here. So
Yeah.
like that's all I think we're really trying to say. Like
Yeah, and I just don't even think that films that are made here and created by Kenyans don't even reflect, I think, what Kenyan culture and what Kenyan stories and voices have to offer. That's also that
Yeah.
too. I love that you brought up that like we're not trying to say that like everything should be like America here. I don't think that
Yeah,
at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
I don't think so. We should definitely maintain our own identity, like 1,000%. At the same time, what other industries do well is really creating multidimensional characters. You know, like thorough plots that have certain beats and that have a pace to them that feel like good stories, good compelling stories, and that's all that we're advocating for. We're not advocating for the Americanization of the Kenyan film industry. We're advocating for just a deeper what am I trying to say even? Like I feel like I've said it so many times in different ways, but just like you know what I mean? Just
just
a more
just
yeah.
good stories
Better.
that are uniquely Kenyan,
Dig
but
deeper.
they're put together in a way that's like really like that has quality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's
intentional.
Everyone wants that. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I always go towards the word intentional because I think that is what is really lacking, right? Like stories that feel like somebody really was like, well, like what would a person like this look like? Like what would they feel in these different scenarios? What would they experience? What would their perspective be? We were actually talking about this when we were watching some content the other day, and we were like, you know, I when I watch Kenyan films, I feel like, and this is more a director's note, I would say, I feel like the story, the directors and the story and the camera just captures what's happening. It doesn't show a perspective, right? It's just trying to capture, okay, here are all the moving parts of this scene. Like this person's talking over here, like there's this happening in the background. I feel like it would be more compelling already, just as one thing to add and to change, if they put themselves and the camera into the mind of our protagonist and then show a perspective versus showing logistically like everything happening. You know what I mean? Just employing some more artistry into it and less, you know what I mean? Raise the bar. I
Yeah.
always go back to it. Just the bar needs to be raised.
Yeah, and we have more to say on that.
Yeah, we have so
Yeah.
much more to say on that,
Yeah.
as per always. But one thing too, so also in our little volume reel, we got a lot of questions about like why do you guys talk like that? Like you're not even Kenyan. Let's explain. I'm here to explain. And first of all, let me say the questions are valid. I'm not mad. They're genuinely valid, right? Like I know that somebody even said like, oh, it looks like a Wanjiko, but it doesn't sound like a Wanjiko. That's my mom's name. Shout out my mom. I receive that. I get where the questions are coming from. Let me explain. My name is Koe Mwai. I'm a Kenyan American woman. I grew up both here and in the US and in the UK. I went to high school. We talked about this earlier. Went to International School of Kenya. A little pretentious, but we're proud Lions. Grr, go Lions. You know what I mean? We are multicultural Kenyans. Very proud of our Kenyan identity. Very blessed to be here. We both actively chose to live here in Nairobi, to start a business in Nairobi because we love that part of our identity, but we also have other parts of our identity, which we're equally proud of. Thank you so much. Now you understand. Will,
Right.
you want to take the floor? Because you're basically the same, except you were born here.
Yeah. I was born here, Nairobi. I'm Kenyan.
Yeah.
I've lived outside of Kenya, but I'm Kenyan.
Period.
And that's it.
Period. And you know, we actually had a really interesting conversation about this the other day. And one of my other kind of qualms about Kenyan culture is that like people really think that being Kenyan is a monolithic thing. Like being Kenyan can only look one way. You can only speak Swahili, only speak Kikuyu, only do this. And it's like in the year 2024, let's open the scope of what it means to be Kenyan. You know, you guys, you love when white people come here and they speak like me and they have their soft hair and they're going to Alchemist and they're drinking. You love that. But when someone like me enters the space and I look like I want Chico and my forehead is this big, but I speak like Becky, you get in a tizzy. Why is that? Let's open up our scope. Let's leave room for more Kenyan experiences. It's not just people who live here their whole lives. It's really interesting to me because we have such a rich history of Pan-Africanism and diasporic. Like, Kenyans are all over the place. You know what I mean? Kenyans are in Boston. Kenyans are in Amsterdam. They're also in Beijing. You know what I mean? So I'm really surprised that our culture still seems to be stuck on we are just one thing and it can only look like this and sound like this and be like this and act like this. Change that. Change that.
Yeah, man.
You know, it's old school, baby. Come on. This is the year of TikTok. This is a generation of TikTok, of Twitch.
Yeah, so like to everyone who was like, oh, why do they talk like that? Like, that's the reason.
That's the reason.
You know?
That is the reason.
Yeah,
that is the reason.
That's it. But I'm Kenyan. We're both Kenyan.
We're both Kenyan. Different kind of ways. We receive how our other experiences color the way in which we see Kenya, the way in which we experience our Kenyan identity, but that does not mean that we are not super proud to be Kenyan. Anyways, that's the end of our TED Talk. Let's get into it. Yeah. Shall we get into some pop culture? Talk about what's going on, what's trending, what are the people talking about?
Yeah, okay. So
what are we talking about first, Will?
Heard Rihanna went to perform at an Indian wedding and she apparently got paid a lot of money, but like, how much money was it?
Right, so basically,
they said
Rihanna,
it was something billion or something. Or
yeah, it was. I think she got paid $9 million to do it.
I said billion.
I've seen varying accounts of that. Some people say 6 million. Some people say 9. I'm sure we'll never know, right? Like, we don't know what check she got, but she got a massive check to go perform at this Indian billionaire's wedding.
Because I remember when that happened with Beyonce.
Yes,
not too.
She went to the it was the opening
Saudi
of Atlantis
Arabia?
in Dubai.
Oh, Dubai.
Yeah,
okay.
in Dubai she went. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Get your bag. I feel like, first of all, I mean, she got paid. I don't know how long she performed, but it looked like it was like a regular,
a set,
like a 30-minute set, nothing crazy. I mean, 30 minutes for $9 million. Like, go off, queen. Like, go ahead and do it. A lot of people were saying and speculating that she might be pregnant based off of the, how she looked in the videos. Let me say this: it's never okay to comment on a woman's body and to assume that somebody is pregnant. We should never ask. It's invasive. That being said, I think she's pregnant. I think she's pregnant. Yeah. Women got that look. You know what I'm saying? You can always, especially as a woman, I can sniff it out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially for us negresses, us black women, the face. The face. Something happens to the face. Something happens to the face. You know what I mean? Yeah. And she has like that cute little pudginess that like pregnant women have. Anyways, that being said, Rihanna, even if you aren't pregnant, you're gorgeous. Shouldn't be commenting on your body, but here I am commenting on your body. Congratulations if you are pregnant. I'm sure that you'll reveal it to us in a dramatic way. And also ASAP, like, fertile myrtle. Like, those two, fertile myrtle. Like, they can just be in the same room and she be getting pregnant.
Right.
But yeah, no, she looked gorgeous. Looking forward to new music. We're hearing it's this year, allegedly. Who knows? We do this dance every year, right? Like, Rihanna always says, like, yeah, like, it's coming. I can't do the Bayesian accent, but
every time they say she's dropping new music, it's just like she's like on a feature or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like
and like barely.
And she has like 2 of them in the last like 7 years or something.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I think the last time was she did that music for the Black Panther movie.
Yeah.
When did it come out? 2 years ago?
Black Panther? Like 2018.
No, there was a new one.
Really?
Yeah, 2. You didn't know?
Nah, man.
We can't keep up. Rihanna, get back to the studio.
I don't watch Marvel like that.
Get back to the studio. Get away from A$AP Rocky. We need new music.
And then she did the one with Kendrick Lamar in like 2017, but that was like,
ooh, baby, you behind.
That was a while ago.
Ooh, yeah, baby, you behind.
I don't. When she drops music, I'll know, man.
Yeah, it's true. We're waiting for the music. We're waiting for the music. We love the babies, but we're waiting for the music.
Yeah.
What's next on the list, boo? What we talking about?
All right. I don't know if you guys have heard about this Risa Tisa story on TikTok. So, if you don't know, basically, it's just this black woman in America who, she met someone, like she met someone and then like basically married him like some months later.
Yeah, let me
And
before you
so-
get into like what actually
I'm
the
not telling
story
the whole
was.
thing. I was just saying,
Yeah,
like-
let me just explain. So this Risa T says, I guess she's a content creator. She put out this 50-part TikTok series about this con man that she ended up marrying and how he basically took advantage of her and all this stuff, and it went insanely viral. I mean, there was not an outlet, there was not a news anchor who wasn't talking about this story. Now continue about like basically what it was.
Yeah, so she just meets this guy. She gets married to him really fast. Moves in with him really fast. She gets pregnant. She ends up losing the pregnancy.
It's crazy. The story has all
Story's
kinds of twists and turns.
So
It's
basically,
insane.
it's called "Who the Fuck Did I Marry?"
Yeah.
So it's just her telling the story of the entire story of how she met this guy and then how she left this guy. So like, one of the things that was going on with Risa Tisa was she, during the story, she was talking about how this guy was always trying to buy her a new car. And obviously she wants to be bought for a new car. So she wanted a BMW. And BMW said they were going to give her the car, actually.
Yeah, so basically after the series came out, she made this comment about the car, and after the series went out, it's crazy viral. She's doing all these interviews, everything. And so BMW put out a couple, I think it was a handful, like it wasn't just one. They put out a couple different TikToks where they're like, yeah, girl, like here's the car, because she put out a specific model. I don't know cars for shit, guys, so can't help you there. But she talked about wanting a specific model. I think it was like a blue car with a mahogany interior. Anyway, she had a very specific vision for this BMW. So after that all comes out, she's gone viral. She's a sensation. BMW put out a couple of reels saying basically like, hey girl, like here's your car, boo, like we got you, like call us, we got you. And it was this whole thing and everybody was super hyped. That also got attention too. Then they took down the reels and then now everybody's saying that she's not getting this car from BMW. And it's just interesting. Like I think when these kinds of things happen, like when people become like sensations like this, first of all, I just think that like having a pathway to success via telling like your emotional trauma on TikTok is interesting. It's up for debate. It's interesting, but it certainly is a pathway for success. And I wonder, like, it got me thinking, like, what do you think Risa Tisa like deserves? Like, should she get this car? You know, she's also going on a trip to Europe, paid for by Delta, sponsored by Hilton. They're putting her in hotels everywhere. Like, I think about this because I was at the Africa Media Festival recently. Had a fantastic time, went with my friends at APVA, shout out guys. And I was telling somebody this story. I won't say who it was, but it is a gentleman of an older generation than us. And he like couldn't get his head around the fact that Risa Tisa was like this star and she was getting all these opportunities, professional and personal. And it got me thinking, like what do people deserve in this situation? Like, what do you think? Like, do you think that she deserves to get opportunities from this, or do you think that she doesn't really like, she didn't like display a talent or something and she doesn't really deserve it? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, well, I guess it depends, like, what do you mean, like, what we mean by opportunities, right? Like,
Right.
Like, because, like, what opportunities has she been, like,
Well, I guess
given?
like going to Europe, you know, I guess like even like the opportunity of getting the car,
Like, yeah, okay, yeah.
all that stuff.
Like, all right, to
And like
me,
she's gone on GMA, like the
right, you see, to me,
attention.
that's perfectly fine, you know, because, like, like, what kind of opportunity is that? It's just something that she said she's always wanted. You know what I
Right.
mean? So that's not like an opportunity where she's taking advantage in any way. I don't think so. Because she didn't tell this story to have that outcome, right? She was just telling the story.
Well, we'll never know.
Well, maybe she did.
Maybe
she
hey, listen,
Because, like, maybe she did. But
maybe
like,
she did, but we don't know.
Like, I just think, like, that's fine, because it's not like she was sitting there asking, like, oh, like, I really want this BMW. I hope BMW gives it to me. You know what I mean? Like, it was more so a part of her story. Like I said, maybe she planned the whole thing, but like, I don't think that's wrong, because like, who does that hurt? You know what I mean? Because it's not like she got a job over someone else, or you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that like affects anybody else. It's just like, it's because for BMW, like, if they actually were to do that, they would be thinking like, oh, this is like free promo for us. That's an interesting story. It's viral. Let's like do this, and like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it makes sense for them as a brand. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think, like, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah, listen, TikTok is a game, right? Like social media is a game. And the people who play it well are the people who are successful. And I think, I am not saying that Risa Tisa's intentions were bad. I think that and I would like to believe that she shared her story to protect other people from this terrible, terrible man, but also to seek out community a little bit too, I think.
Yeah.
And
That's basically what TikTok is.
Right, and that's basically what TikTok is. And I think that for that, and for that reaching out, she deserves a 15 minutes, which is exactly what she's gotten, right?
Yeah.
She deserves a platform because a terrible thing happened to her, and she was brave enough to share that terrible thing to hopefully help somebody else from experiencing said terrible thing. That being said, I think if she's smart, because you can maximize 10 minutes. 10 minutes can become 20, can become 30, can become a career.
Like, why wouldn't you, you know?
You know what I mean? And I think that, like, why not? Like, why not? I've always believed in the power of vulnerability. And I actually got into a little debate with this person about this because I was very much like, no, I think that she deserves, I think she deserves a space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's getting this attention. She's clearly captured something in people. That's worth opportunity. That's worth, you know what I mean?
And like, you know, like we said, we could be wrong. Maybe she's even lying about the whole thing, right? But like,
which would low-key be hilarious.
That would be crazy. But yeah, like, I think that's okay because like, first of all, she's had that TikTok account for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is now where she starts telling this story.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you look through her TikTok account, it's just kind of like, she's just kind of like a regular TikToker.
Yeah.
She has like videos where she's talking, but it's not, she's not like a really serious, she wasn't like a really, really serious content creator where she's making like all different kinds of content and you can see it's systematic. It was kind of just like vlogging basically.
Right.
Like that's kind of how her page looked like to me. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So she decides to tell like a story that she has and it goes viral. Like I don't think she thought I knew she knew it would get like a good amount of attention, but I don't think she knew it would get viral in that way.
I don't think she expected to be on Good Morning America.
You know what I mean? Like
that's crazy.
Yeah. So now when she gets to that point, I feel like, yeah, man, like do something with it. Like, why not? Like, what's wrong with that? Like, unless you're actually completely lying about everything.
Right.
That's what would be wrong. But like,
right.
Yeah, like I think
Yes.
there's nothing wrong with it.
Risa Tisa, to you, I say the same thing that I said to Rihanna. Get your bag, bro.
And you should give her that car.
Get your bag. I hope that you get the car. I hope that this really blossoms into something for you because, again, I think that vulnerability should always be rewarded, even if it is on social media, which people do find a little bit inauthentic. But we're rooting for you, sis. Get your bag. Get that BMW.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are we talking about next? Pop culture.
The Oscars.
Oh, Oscars. Okay, so the Oscars are happening this Sunday. I'm going to be honest. I know a handful of nominations. I don't know all of them. A couple of ones. I don't actually. Do you feel like you feel strongly about any of them? I don't really feel super.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know any of
strongly.
them.
There are some movies that we still haven't seen that have been nominated, like Poor Things. I've been dying to see Poor Things. I've heard wonderful things. Just from what I've seen aesthetically, it seems like an Oscar-worthy film. Like I am not, like I feel like that feels like, yeah, that makes sense. You know what I mean?
So what else?
There's also American Fiction. So I believe his name is Cord Jefferson. He has been nominated for Best Male Actor, I believe. Actually, let's not guess when we have a telephone and we can pull it up. All right. So for actor in a lead role, we have Bradley Cooper from Maestro. We have Coleman Domingo, the best dressed man in Hollywood, for his role in Rustin. We have Paul Giamatti, who we adore, from The Holdovers. We have Cillian Murphy from, of course, Oppie. And then we have Jeffrey Wright from American Fiction. I'm so sorry. I don't know where I got Cord Jefferson from at all. Who knew where I got that? I completely... Shout out to Cord Jefferson if you... I think that's an actor. Anywho, so, I mean, I feel like... Who do you think will... I think we'll go to Cillian, probably, for Oppie.
Yeah, probably.
Which is fine. I've heard terrible things about Maestro.
Maestro.
Yeah, it's this biopic that Bradley Cooper was in.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard awful things, but we'll watch. If you want us to watch it, tell us. We'll do it.
Yeah. Guys, let us know if you want us to watch it.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably going to go to Cillian. That's my guess. Although Paul Giamatti has been running a pretty good campaign, and he has won a lot of awards, and The Holdovers has won a lot of awards.
Yeah.
So maybe Paul might sneak up in there, but if I had to guess, I would go with Cillian.
Yeah, I think Cillian Murphy will win.
Yeah,
I
and we
think
won't.
Oppenheimer will win a few awards.
Yeah, for sure, Oppenheimer. And then, of course, Killers of the Flower Moon has so many nominations.
Oh,
I
yeah?
didn't like it. I don't know why. Here's the thing. Like, is the cinematography beautiful? Yes. Is the acting great? Yes. This was a boring movie. Objectively a snore fest. That was about an hour and a half too long. I don't know why this is like the film that everyone is talking about.
I want to try to watch
think-
it again, actually.
Maybe honestly we watched it again. I do think that Lily Gladstone was fantastic, and I think that I'm sure this will be the beginning of a incredible and many Oscar nominations and wins career for her. But as for the movie as a whole, I struggled to stay captivated. I get the intention, I get what it was going for. I think it was just a snooze fest.
It was a bit boring, man.
It was a bit boring. Another movie that's racked up a lot of nominations, actually going back to Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction, which just surprised me because on the onset to me didn't like give off Oscar-winning movie, but I hear it's fantastic and the premise is very interesting to me, so we should probably watch that. I'm very interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else nominated that's worth noting? Oh, maybe we can talk about the Barbie snubs because I think also our girl Margot Robbie didn't get a nomination. Also Greta Gerwig, which I think is a little messed up, especially because Ryan Gosling got the nomination for supporting role. And like, listen, like I thought he was so great in that, but I also am like, damn, like you could have given like Margot something. You couldn't have given Greta something. And they have been snubbed in all of awards season.
I heard someone talking about this. I forgot who it was, and they were saying that I forgot who it was. It was another actor, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was David Spade randomly.
Sure.
But that might be something else. But yeah, he was talking about how Ryan Gosling got for supporting the nomination, and then Margot Robbie didn't get one for what was the nomination?
Lead actress,
right? So his team, obviously because he is a supporting role in the movie, so they went for that supporting role nomination. And he was explaining how like your team, you get options to choose which one you want to go for and whatever. And he was talking about how that one, this best supporting one, is a lot easier to get, and then it's Ryan Gosling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to get it approved by the Academy, whatever, And the lead, the best lead, whatever, actress or actor, it's a lot harder to get. And he was just talking about how that had some influence on it, but it was like it's also a snub at the same time.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because with the Oscars, you have like the big four, right? Like it's lead actor, lead actress, best picture, and best director. Those are the big four, right? So it makes sense that, and in case you guys didn't know, Oscar nominations don't just happen. The actress team has to submit them, and I believe they pay for them to be considered for nominations. So there's a lot of bureaucracy behind the Iron Curtain. And if you guys want us to talk more about that and to kind of explain to you about like what that looks like in more detail, let us know. We're definitely happy to make videos about it and content about it. But yeah, so it's not just like random, right? Like you have to like it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense. I mean, I definitely think that Barbie at least deserved Best Picture. I honestly, I'm fine with Margot not getting Best Actress. I think that she was wonderful, but I also see why maybe she didn't make the cut this year. There are like some other projects maybe that were slightly more deserving. But Barbie certainly deserved Best Picture.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Certainly deserved. And I think Greta
like,
Gerwig should have certainly deserved Best Director nomination.
I feel like majority of people don't even feel that way about Barbie.
Yeah.
That's the thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too, like with Barbie was like a very like high budget, high celebrity like sensation, right? Like there was for like the last like for a period of time, probably like a year, there was nothing that anybody was talking about as well. And I also do kind of think that is a significant factor for the Academy. I don't think they like commercial hits for the most part. Do you know what I mean? They tend to like the less appreciated in that kind of commercial way. Like they're not looking for like the best, like biggest grossing box office hit, right? And Barbie had so much of that like box office stink on it. That's why I feel like they probably didn't get the noms.
Oppenheimer had that as well, though.
That's fair. Maybe you know what? Maybe it's sexism. Maybe it's because
I think people just didn't like Barbie, man. Like I've heard a lot of negative things about it. Yeah.
I feel like it's like I would say most people liked the movie. I would say that it was it made like billions of dollars at the box office. So like it's a commercial hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I loved it.
Loved it.
I've just heard like a lot of negativity towards it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is that's interesting. I wonder if that plays a role into what the Academy decides.
Probably not, but like
probably not.
You know, I've heard a lot of negativity towards that movie, and like I find it interesting because I thought it was really good. Like I enjoyed it quite a lot.
Garnered a lot of hate, but anyways, Oscars. If you guys want us to do a recap post Oscars, let us know. Award shows will be fun. Let us know if that's something you'd guys be interested in.
Right.
Yeah. Pop culture. Let's keep it going, buddy.
Did he or did he not?
Yes. Oh, come on, title.
Yeah, man.
Will wrote that. Great job, babe. That's pretty smart. Love that. Love that. Coming from my job.
Yeah.
Trying to be a writer. I love it. Tell us what's going down with
So
Dids.
we should start calling him that now. Okay, every day there's something new to do with this criminal. But anyways, let me not call people criminals.
Alleged criminals.
Yeah,
we don't want to get sued, baby.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So a male producer he worked with, I think came forward to say that he had sexually assaulted him, or essayed him.
Yeah, so basically, right, like in the last couple of weeks, there have been tons of more allegations against Diddy regarding his alleged violent and sexually inappropriate behavior. The most recent one that we heard about was a male producer that he had worked with. I think he's called Little Rod. I'm not sure, but we'll have, editing will do its thing. We'll put his actual name here. Bear with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should be in jail.
Yeah. And and then another thing, there was a nightclub shooting from, I think, 1999 that I think Diddy was getting accused of, allegedly. And the artist Shine, who was signed with Bad Boy, I believe, he went to jail for that shooting. And the former Bad Boy artist, Mark Curry, not to be confused with the actor, he came forward in an interview and he said that that was basically a payment from Diddy to Shine to just take the fall for that shooting, allegedly. So it's not just it's all kinds of crimes, guys. Like,
yep.
But yeah, so Diddy or did he not?
He did. I mean, listen, I think that he's definitely met his reckoning, right? Like this is Diddy's moment, right? Like,
the Diddy documentary is gonna be crazy.
Coming.
It's gonna be wild, man.
I bet that Netflix or some streamer is already cooking. They're already cooking. It was
gonna
about
be
time.
wild.
Right? We've seen so many men in Hollywood go through this. The Weinsteins, the Cosbys, and like this is his time. Like this is fully his time, and it's so reminiscent of those other major, massive takedowns. It's so reminiscent of that. And so, Diddy, you're a criminal, allegedly, but, we know. And this is your time. It's your reckoning.
Right.
Yeah.
Tish Cyrus.
All right, let's talk about Tish Cyrus. First of all, there's drama happening amongst the Cyrus family. So in case you aren't caught up, the Cyrus family, as in the family of Miley Cyrus, there's a divide happening between them. So obviously Miley Cyrus's mom, Tish Cyrus, used to be married to Miley Cyrus's dad, Billy Ray Cyrus. They were married for like 30 years. They get divorced, I want to say a year ago, 2 years ago, something of that nature. Mm-hmm. Both of them actually got remarried right away, which I thought was interesting. Right. Tish ended up marrying this actor called Dominic Purcell. He was in Prison Break, if anybody remembers him. So now people are saying that what allegedly caused this rift, because essentially, right, Miley Cyrus has multiple siblings, and so it seems to be split with mom and dad. So Miley, her sister Brandy, and I believe the majority of the siblings are on Team Mom. Then Noah, Miley Cyrus's younger sister, who's also a singer and known for being, a Hollywood starlet, is on dad's side. And so there's lots of speculation as to what caused that divide. But it just came out, I want to say late last week, that apparently Tish Cyrus stole her husband, Dominic Purcell, who is her age mate. They're in their 50s. She apparently stole this man from Noah Cyrus herself, who was like a cute 23 or like an early 20s.
He's looking like Jada Smith, man.
It is giving Jada and August. It is giving entanglement. I am
It's a similar situation.
the mess. The mess. Do you believe it? Do you think it's true?
I mean, I see no reason to not believe it.
I mean, yeah, like that's so interesting, actually. I feel like, it kind of makes sense, right? Because I think if you have a riff with a parent and it's like deep, like that's the point where you don't even come to their wedding and everything.
Yeah, because they said Noah was standing on business.
Yeah, no one been
with the
standing on
dad.
business. Yeah. She didn't
Yeah.
show up to her, Tish's wedding or anything like that. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, if it's true, that would be truly, genuinely insane. And I'd be very intrigued to hear about, like I'd love to know, like, what was the nature of, if they did have a relationship, Noah and Dominic, like, what was the nature of that relationship? Were they just, like, having sex? Were they dating? I mean, even if they were just hooking up, it's disgusting and weird. And so, I don't know. I'm very intrigued about how the Cyrus family is going to, like, navigate these waters, because a lot, like, People Magazine put this article out, and People Magazine is a reputable source. Like, it's not like a tabloid; it's like a legit magazine. You know what I mean? Shout out People. And so that alone makes me feel like it's probably true, right? Because, like, people, they're going through reps, like you know what I mean? Like, they're not just publishing something. So if that's true, Tish, you wild, wild for that. You are wild for that. Talk to Jada.
Right.
Talk to Jada. She's going to write a memoir about it. That's what's going to happen next. She's going to come out with a memoir talking about that whole thing. All right, and then closing out our pop culture section, we're going to give a quick shout out to Ray. I'm going to be honest, I don't know this girl's music that much, but I did hear some clips of her singing, and she sounds fantastic. Ray, a fantastic singer-songwriter. She kind of had the Victoria Monet effect. It seems like she's somebody who has been working in the industry, particularly in the UK, for a good amount of time and putting in her dues. She recently got dropped by her label, and then I think in the last couple of years, maybe last year, maybe the year before, not confident, but she put out this fantastic album, got a lot of traction, and now she's won 6 Brit Awards, which is like unprecedented. So shout out Ray. Honestly, I'm definitely gonna check out your music. Like, I saw the clips, they were going viral. You're beautiful, your voice is beautiful. Shout out to her. We love a talent that has invested in their craft and has been working and grinding, and then they finally get the recognition that they deserve. So shout out Ray.
Yeah.
We love to see it.
Yeah, that's dope. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Should we get to the meat and potatoes, what the people came here for? Should we talk about some movies?
Yeah. Let's do that.
So after we put out the volume reel, a lot of you guys were generous enough to give us recommendations of what we should be watching and reviewing for you guys. And so this is our first official People's Choice episode. This is going to be a thing that we do moving forward, where we talk about only things that you want us to talk about. So let's get into it.
Right. Okay, so for the People's Choice, we watched a few things.
Yes, you asked us to watch a whole bunch of stuff. So
Yeah.
there's more stuff that we need to do.
Yeah.
But we started off with 3 movies, Kenyan movies that we're going to be talking about today. Actually, 2
two of
Kenyan
them are
movies,
Kenyan, yeah.
one... Actually, I'm tweaking. I'm so sorry. We're reviewing 2 Kenyan shows, not movies, and then 1 international show as per your recommendation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the international show we watched was Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah. So okay, I was first of all, I've never, like, back in the day I watched like an episode of Avatar, like episode 7,000, and I had no idea
Right.
what was happening. So I've never really watched Avatar. I kind of have the idea of what it was before we checked out the new show, but
Yeah, I'm kind of similar, honestly. I used to really like the show, and I used to watch episodes every now and again, but I'm by no means a diehard fan. I knew some things, I knew some plot points, but I don't know the lore like that. Off the cuff, it's important to know this is not our genre. Like, we don't typically do, we've said this so many times before, you guys know, we're not the biggest action people, but you asked, so you shall receive, and we watched it. What were your thoughts, Will? What did you think?
my thoughts were, I kind of found it a bit slow. I found it a bit slow, but I was getting into what was actually happening, because I've never actually watched the beginning of the original thing. So I was just kind of getting into the story of what it is. It was not confusing. It was just kind of a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like it was unnecessary at the top, and that's how I still feel about it.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't know if the show needed a revitalization per se. But again, I don't know the lore. Am I the biggest fan? No. So like I'm sure within the community there was some excitement surrounding it. My biggest qualm though is the live action thing. I don't know when this happened. I think it's like a late 2010s thing of like Disney and all of these like companies that were mostly in the animation space. They're just like so thirsty to do live action remakes of these animation shows and everything like that. I think it started off with like, there's Beauty and the Beast and Lion King and all of these things. I genuinely don't like them. Like they're not good.
I don't think it's good, man. Like,
and I think really the big reason for that is that 2D animation specifically is a medium that encourages imagination and whimsy and fun and otherworldliness, which works so well for the stories that these stories are what these stories are. I don't think that these stories translate well when it's real life people.
It doesn't.
Like there is so much
like the effects. I was really gonna say that like the bright lights and the beams and the effects and the monsters and creatures and all that. Like I don't know. I just find it like it doesn't look good to me personally. Like,
it never looks good.
It doesn't look good to me.
I mean, we all know CGI these days sucks. Like, it doesn't look
terrible.
good. And I think especially for a story like Avatar that is so like fantastical, why are you making us see it with real people? That's not what I want to see. I used to love watching Avatar. Honestly, not really for the plot. I loved it because it looked beautiful. Like, what I mean? The effects were gorgeous. Like, the animation was fun. What am I trying to explain? The way in which like the characters' reactions are like portrayed, like it's beautiful to watch. Like, it's aesthetically mesmerizing.
Seems to make sense because like it's a cartoon.
It's fantastical.
Yeah, and you can like basically do anything and draw anything. And this is a good point. Like in the animation or the cartoon, right? Anything that you like draw or create for it, like it looks like it looks real within the drawing, right?
Right.
So like if he like a beam of light hits him or something, right? That beam of light in the cartoon, like it looks like a real beam of light in the cartoon, right? But in real life, it looks like a fake, like, you know what I mean? Like it just, like half the movie looks real because like, okay, yeah, these are real people on a real set. And then there's everything else is green screen and CGI. I don't know. I don't really like that when it's something like this, when it's needed like for basically everything.
I don't want like fantastical stories to feel real. I never want that. I never want a magical story to feel real. I never want that. And I always want the magical elements of the story to be enhanced. Like if Aang is a waterbender, I want to see the water unrealistically like fucking whoosh.
But that's the thing though. Like in
that cartoony way.
Yeah, like, but now you have to do it and it's real life. So it just looks bad because, it looks fake. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Yeah, like.
It's just like we don't want it to look real. We don't want it to look real. The whole point of cartoons is because we suspend reality. Like, that's what is enjoyable about cartoon stories and magical stories and fantastical stories and animated stories. They're not real on purpose so that we can encourage an audience to completely get rid of reality and enter this new world where there are new rules, there's a new look, it looks and feels like the world in which we are in. And so that disconnect really made it hard for me to get into this because I just kind of felt like now you have to add things like historical accuracy and interpretation that I just don't think serve the story. Like I don't want to see Aang in like a real ass 100 AD ass Tibetan outfit. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It takes away from the non-reality that we love. I want to see him in a fucking, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to be real. We don't want it to be real. So for me, it just made it really hard to access the story. And I felt like it seems like the brunt of the effort in this incarnation of the story was spent on trying to make it look as real as possible and less on the script. Because I felt like in the original Avatar, like I thought like it was so funny and charming, and there was like even the performances, like the vocal performances, like there was a youthfulness and freshness to it. This one just felt like it was old people writing for kids completely unrealistically. I mean, some of the things that Aang says is ridiculous. Like, he says things like, well, I'm a kid. I don't know what to do. Like, kids don't say that. Everybody knows that. When you're a kid, all you do is think that you're old and grown and you think that you know what to do. Which kid do you know says, well, oh my gosh, like I'm just a kid and I'm just trying to figure out my life. Girl.
That's basically like kind of what I got from it, and like which makes sense. Is just like it's clearly like made for a really young audience, and like
Is it
just
though? Because
isn't it?
I think that they're targeting like people who watched the OG show. And I even feel like the way in which it was written,
well,
like
it
kids
seems
don't
like
talk like that.
It seems like it's for kids to me.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I mean, I don't know who it's for, but like it looks like it's for kids. Like that's something I would watch as a kid and be like, "Oh, this is the coolest thing ever." Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But like, you know what I mean? So there's also that. Like that's just how I saw it. Like
Yeah.
maybe it's for grown adults. I don't know.
That's really interesting. I thought that they were trying to target like OG Avatar fans, so like people who are probably like in their 20s, 30s, while also trying to like entice younger audiences, which is always an issue these days, right? Like
I feel
when
like
you're trying
that
to
doesn't
speak
really
to Gen
work
Z, millennials, and Gen Alpha, it ain't gonna work, baby. You gotta pick one.
Yeah.
You gotta pick one. I'm sorry, you gotta pick one. It doesn't work. It doesn't
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
You can do like millennial and Gen Z, and you can probably do Gen Z and Gen Alpha, depending on like what it is. But like,
Yeah.
I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, because as an adult, for me, I'm like, this show is for kids.
Right.
Like just for how they're talking, and I'm assuming like when you watch the cartoon, it has that feeling, like also like because like people were watching it as kids, right?
Yeah, it was a kid
Or
show.
young
and
people.
It was a kid
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I don't know. I just kind of got that energy, even more so in a way that how Marvel movies feel to me, because those ones also feel a bit like they're for kids to me.
Yeah.
But this one was like way more than that, even.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt
super
watching it.
interesting. So yeah, we tried, guys. We only got a couple episodes in. It wasn't. We just couldn't
Like
get into the story.
I'm not a fan, so I'm not an original fan, so I feel like I think that also made it hard for me to.
I will say, I think
Get
that
into it.
this I think that it is inaccessible to people who aren't major fans of the original.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind. I think if you're an action fan, sure, go ahead, watch it. If you're an Avatar fan, sure, go ahead, watch it. But if you aren't in those categories, I don't know if you will connect with this project.
Right. Yeah.
To say it.
Okay, like we can move on to the Kenyan shows that we watched.
Yeah.
We started with Click Click Bang.
We did.
You guys told us to watch Click Click Bang. We checked it out. And yeah, I'll just start by saying I felt like these guys, it seemed like they didn't have a big budget.
Yes.
So the cinematography is like it's not really there in terms of like Netflix standards, I feel like, and in terms of just being like, just a good quality like
Lots of camera
movie,
shit.
man.
Like it looked like somebody was
Yeah.
hand holding a camera, and it was shot exclusively like that.
Yeah.
Lots of camera shaking. Lots of like, ooh, I need to catch them. Like lots of that stuff. And I'm going to assume that is mostly because they didn't get the budget that they probably needed.
that's how it seems like. Yeah.
So
But, like,
we're gonna say on the cuff that we understand that, we see that, and let's continue. We
Yeah.
understand that there was a budget issue with
Yeah.
this. Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, look, man, like, the story was really hard to follow along. This is my problem, and I spoke about this when we were talking about volume, guys. Like, my problem is this, like, aside from the other things that I didn't like about this show or show,
Show.
yeah. Aside from the other things I didn't like, similar to volume, like, from what we watched, we didn't watch the whole thing. So from what we watched, I didn't see any football happening. Then maybe there's like a split second, it was like a flashback or something. But I didn't see any football happening. And I was kind of excited for that. So I'm wondering if that happens in Pepeta. Pepeta is also about football, yeah? So but we need to check out Pepeta. But yeah, my issue, there was no football. It's like this guy was just like, he's like a footballer trying to make it and get signed and so and so and so and so. But like the development of him as a character, as a footballer, was not there at all.
You guys have watched sports movies
Like,
before. You've watched sports TV
you know?
shows before. You know what they look and feel like, right? Like you know that you always open with an intense scene of the main character playing said sport. You see a dribble of a ball. You see I lost the winning game shot. You know what that looks like. You know that the intensity that comes with a sports show. Click Click Bang had none of that. We saw 2 seconds of football in that whole first episode.
And it was a flashback.
And he's supposed to be this big football star, and like that's meant to be his whole life. Girl, come on.
And that's my thing, yeah. Like I want to see at least some football. Like, cause I actually,
yes.
I was actually like hoping to see that. I was like, oh, like I wanted to see, oh, how did they shoot the scenes of them playing? You know, like I wanted to see, cause like I find that really interesting. When there's like a movie or a show about sports, and then you see them like in the game and the way that the cinematography. That's
the whole point of these shows.
It's really cool, yeah. So like
that's what people come for these shows.
I wanted to see if they were gonna.
Shots.
I wanted to see if they were gonna like do that in this, and like how they figured it out and all that, and like just like with Volume, not showing music really, it was kind of the same thing, but even worse. Like
it's the same problem of like, listen, like. It's the same thing of like you're just doing Nairobi Half Life and adding an element that's different. And listen, as somebody who was involved in the other side of the business, just not as a critic, but as somebody who's also actively pitching stories, actively working on projects, I get it, right? You have to think of a package that is sellable. So I'm guessing that these directors and these filmmakers, they're like, okay, guys know Nairobi Half Life. So we'll go to Netflix, we'll go to Showmax, and we'll say, okay, so now it's Nairobi Half Life, but now with football. It's Nairobi Half Life, now with music. Enough. It's not working, baby. It's not working. I understand you don't get the budget that you deserve. I get it. I truly get that. But bro, if you don't have the capacity to pull it off, don't do it. Don't do it. This show should have had so many dynamic football shots, and none of that happened. The entire first episode is just people in the office talking. We were so bored, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is a sports show. Where's the action? Where are the stakes? Where are the injuries? Where are the tears? Like, where's that intensity?" And I'm so sorry to the guy who played the protagonist. I didn't believe him as a football star. He didn't give it to me. He didn't give me blood, sweat, tears. This sport. He didn't give it to me.
Yeah,
he didn't give it to me.
I think it goes back to like what we were saying about the budget thing. Like I feel like and just the capacity to do things. Like if you're making a sports show, like I'm sure everyone who has liked a sports show before, you know what I mean? You like to see the part where they're actually playing the sport, but also everything around it that completes the story, right?
Obviously.
But to believe that this is a movie about, this is a show about football, we need to see football happening. It can't just be, he's with his coach in the office and they're talking to whoever. I guess he was trying to get signed.
It was
and
wild.
It's just like that scene is it's boring and it's unnecessary. Like show us that on the pitch, and then you know, like we want to see like action.
Yes.
In it. We want to see like it's about a footballer, like just like how in Volume it's about a musician. We want to see that happening. We want to see the process. We want to see the behind the scenes of like what it feels like to be a footballer. Like
I want to see the training. I want to see the sweat.
How,
I want
how
to see
he
the
wakes
injuries.
up,
I want
how
to
he
see
wakes
the
up in the morning, like how he, you know what I mean. So like if you don't have the capacity to do all those things, like okay, we need to get to a field. We need to get extras to be players in the game. We need to get extras to be people who are watching the game.
But even also just like cinematography, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like, okay,
and like the
we have
choreographer
close-up shots on the feet, and then we have close-up shots like on the ball. You know what I mean? Like
the choreographer for the scene, for how it will
Yes.
go. If you can't get any of that, then I don't know if you should be doing like
Don't do it.
a movie that's like based around that
Don't do it.
as much. You know
If you
what
don't
I mean?
have a vision for it, and if you don't have a love and don't do it.
Yeah.
And actually, that's what we were talking a lot about when we were watching this, and we were like, it's that same feeling of Volume again, where it's like, I don't think that anybody who wrote this loves football. I don't think that anybody first of all, nobody involved in the project, from what I'm guessing, is a football player. Like nobody has lived that life, and it reeks of it in the project because it's
they're
just
not
what
showing
somebody
us.
thinks. a football player from Kibera would do. How do you know? Is that you, sir? Did you talk to somebody who lives that life? Will has a cousin who's on that same track. Did you talk to somebody like him who's that same age who knows that life? No, and it shows, baby, it shows. And it's just like, man, like I was really rooting for you, but like it's just those key elements, like exactly what you were saying, right? Like people love sports, TV shows, and movies for that intensity. We want to have, and I think even for stories like this, it's imperative to have a protagonist who we are rooting for. I couldn't give two flying shits about this protagonist because he didn't make me feel it. He didn't make me feel that this is life and death for him. He didn't make me feel that this is his soul, his life, his body, his meaning. Like I didn't feel it. And so I was immediately out. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't care that your sister's in the hospital. Pull sana, but I don't care. Right? Like we have to feel it in our gut for this person. We don't feel it.
Yeah. I just, I don't know why, like if you make a movie about something, like, okay, obviously it's not going to be, like if you make a sports movie, it's not going to just be about that game. It's about the story underneath this person who is an athlete, right? Like, but we have to see that. We have to see it. It's like making a military war movie and there's no scenes showing military guys doing military things. We'll get to something
about that later.
Military guys doing military things. Or like if it's a movie about a Formula One driver, but we never see this guy inside a car. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I get it. The story, maybe it can be a story where it's like, yeah, it's a story about a Formula One driver, but it's not about the racing or anything about that. It's just about maybe something he's going through. Cool, but I still want to see him like leaving the car or like getting out of the car or pulling up and then getting out or something, being at the venue for the, I don't know anything about Formula. But you know what I mean? Like that's why I wouldn't write a Formula One movie. But you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Like we need to like believe who this person is. Same thing I was saying about Volume. Like we need to believe these people are what they are.
Mm-hmm. And we don't. We don't.
Yeah.
Also, I want to talk about, before we move on, the formatting of this show. First of all, so it's a three-parter show, which I think was not a great move. The pacing is a major issue. This show is extremely slow. And the way in which the story develops is not good.
No.
I'm sorry to say, it's not good. First of all, I think if you want to stick to this story of, okay, it's this football star who has a promising, bright future as an international football star from Kenya, but then he loses an opportunity, he keeps on being overlooked, and then he goes into a life of crime. Like, why aren't you? I wish the filmmakers had lived in the football part a little bit more. Because again, when you're doing a fall from grace story, do you know what's imperative? I need to feel the impact of the fall. Right? So my pitch would have been like, okay, like if you wanted to be an episodic, that's fine. Episode 1 should have been just about like his football hustle,
like
right?
His grind.
I want to see exactly what Will's saying. Set the scene, like establish him as this, young man from Kibera, a lower income area for our listeners who might not know that, one of the biggest slums in Africa, biggest slums in Kenya. Anyways, from a lower income area, and football is his life. Okay, he has a sick sister. But football is his key out. We've seen this story before. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Establish that part of the story. Let's see him going to the pitch. I want to see him win games. I want to see him lose games. I want to see him maybe even navigate an injury. Set the tone, right? Establish the high stakes of football. Then end episode 1 with taking it away from him, right? He loses the opportunity. And in that moment, then the sister now gets sick. Now you've established, okay, we put a whole episode setting up that. Then we end on the catastrophe, right? The turning point. Then now the next episodes show us the unraveling of the catastrophe. That's how you set up a fall from grace, right? Like, make me feel it. It happened so quickly. I was even like, okay, so he's like gangbanging now, like he's like doing the thing now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the pacing was really an issue. In the show, it was very slow, and like you were talking about, I felt like the way they were revealing some of the information was really, it didn't make sense. Like you said, the thing about finding out his sister was sick. I think they should have figured out like the proper format to like introduce things so we know who he is like earlier on in the show and like what he's
I also, something that I noticed too when I was watching a lot, and I find this too when I watch a lot of like Kenyan content, is that I find that Kenyan writers prefer to tell, not to show. So, for example, if somebody is struggling at work, instead of showing them actually struggle at work, they'll show them telling someone, "Hey, I'm struggling at work." You know what I mean? I think that it can be a lot more effective if you show a lot of these things than telling them. Like, I don't need a scene to see somebody, I don't need a scene showing a character talking to like their friend about like how they feel about, like, show me how they feel. Show me what they want. Show me what they are going through. Don't tell me. I'm immediately bored at that. Make me work for it a little bit. And that's the thing too. I think going back to the bar conversation, I also sometimes think that Kenyan writers and filmmakers might think like a little bit low of viewers. Like, oh, they won't understand if like they're not like shown this, or they won't understand if they're not shown that. And I've had some of those experiences when I've done like some screenwriting here, and streamers will come back and give feedbacks on scripts, and they'll be like, oh, like, but like it's not like overtly stated that this is what's going on. And I always just be like, well, no, that's not. We're not writing a report, right? Like, we're not like writing a recap. Right, like this is art, and the art of the medium is showing people somebody's truth, showing people somebody's story, showing someone's perspective, not telling it. If I would just read a report if that was the case. That level is missing for me when it comes to the writing.
Yeah, I think showing, not telling is so much better because it brings us into the world like in a visual way.
Yeah,
and like we're watching a movie or a show, so like it's important for us to like kind of see like what this character is going through, and then just kind of have our own thoughts about it.
Yeah.
And then as the story progresses, we'll have our questions answered and all that. Versus just like something random coming out of nowhere, like the thing of his sister being sick. I don't know if that was mentioned earlier in the movie. I missed it if it was, but
via text pop-up, which is just...
Oh, it was a text
I'm sorry,
pop-up.
That's lazy writing.
It was a
I'm
text
sorry,
pop-up.
it's lazy.
Okay.
I've been told
I didn't
this
even
from
see.
other
I didn't even
producers
see
before.
that.
Yeah, for that exact reason.
Yeah.
It's also like it's just a cop-out. And I've been told this from other producers, like about like my own writing, and also like just like things to keep in mind. Like, it's lazy writing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So for me, I didn't see that specific text. Maybe I looked away for a second.
There were actually a lot of details that we tended to miss because it was very like we said earlier, it was very like sitting in offices, like lots of like conversation heavy. And here's the thing, like, who wants to like watch conversations happen for an hour? Like, nobody wants that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody wants it. And so we drifted in and out so much. And so it was hard to follow, disappointing. Click, click, whack.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay, so let's move on. So the last one we watched that you guys asked us to watch was Mpakani. What did you think about this one?
Let's start off with the positive because we're not negative, and we do want to encourage people. I thought they had a bigger budget, so the cinematography was way better. I actually loved how it opened. It had a cinematic quality that I thought was great. I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. I get the vibe. Okay, yeah, like there's a military aspect here. Like there's some covert operations happening. Okay, cool. Like I thought it was a pretty, for the genre of like crime drama, military drama. I thought it worked. So I was like, yeah, the camera was a lot better. I also saw lots of like really like nice traditional shots, like lots of push-ins. That's when the camera pushes in on a character, and same push-outs. Like there's some good camera work, and I was like, okay,
yeah. I agree with that. I like the just how everything was looking. The beginning scene was really nice. Like I felt like that's a good way to like open the show. Like I thought it was a good way to open and kind of put us in like an intense situation just from the beginning.
Yes.
Like, I like that. I like those kinds of intros.
Yeah.
This one obviously had a way bigger budget.
Yes.
It's much newer, so
yes.
that also makes sense.
Yeah,
but,
we definitely felt that for sure.
Yeah.
I think where I struggled with this one was I feel like the creators and the filmmakers bit off way more than they could chew when it comes to the actual story.
Yeah.
There are 500 things going on in this show at all times. Yeah. And here's the thing. here's the thing about ensemble casts, right? Like, they exist. We love an ensemble show. We love an ensemble movie. But here's the thing. Even if it is an ensemble, there is a protagonist, right? In Modern Family, it's an ensemble cast, but the protagonists are Claire and Phil. Like the Dunphy family, they are the protagonists, right? There is always a perspective from which the story is told. This show had no perspective. They're following all of these different, military, I don't know the jargon, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna mess up the jargon, the military jargon, but they're following all of these different military guys who are a part of this covert unit, right? And you're just like, okay, how is it connected? It just felt so busy to me. Busy. And again, that same thing of like, I had a hard time connecting with it because it just felt like a lot of conversations, lots of like whisperings happening in alleyways, in CBD, and then like randomly like in Turkana sides, like in the northern, you know what I mean? And I just felt like it was muddled because there was so much there was trying to do. There's a pregnant wife over here. There's a kid over here. There's the operation over here. It just felt like busy to me. Yes, yeah. It felt like maximalist television. That's a term that I just coined. Busy.
Yeah, I don't know. I just similar to what you're saying. I just felt like what was impressing me in the beginning, like looking at it from the opening scene, it basically fell apart really quickly for me, and I was kind of disappointed in how they had put together this show because it's, I don't know, it's like you're saying, it's first of all it's really busy, and I didn't quite get the idea that these guys are all in like a crew together. I didn't really quite get that. They didn't seem to be things that were making it obvious that okay, these guys work together. And I like what you were saying. I also thought we should focus mostly on one of them.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would have assumed it would be the guy who we saw in the very first scene.
Yeah, the light-skinned guy.
Yeah. I don't know if he's supposed to be like the main guy or if they're all the main guys, but like I felt like following him throughout how he gets to that point of getting the message to get back with the group. I just felt like that should have been done more.
Yeah, like I said before, ensemble casts exist. There's no such thing as multiple main characters, though. That's just objectively not how things work. Even within the ensemble structure, there is one person who we're seeing the story from their perspective, right? Like that. So it doesn't exist, and that's what this show was really lacking.
Yeah.
Also, too, I think like. Again, similar to Click, Click, Bang, the reason why people like the crime military genre, why? The intensity. I still felt like they weren't exactly hitting the mark of the intensity in these military spaces. Like, okay, you're in the middle of an operation against these terrorists. I want to see niggas screaming. I want to see like the intensity of that. You know what I mean? I want to see guns. Yeah. I want to see screaming. I want to see intensity. I want to see tears. That was all missing for me. All of the performances to me fell flat. I was just like, bro, like this is meant to be high stakes, and they're chilling here like they're, you know what I mean, like they're at a kibanda or something. Yeah. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
This is meant to be high stakes. Where are the stakes? Why am I not feeling stress? I should be feeling the heart palpitations, but my heart is steady as a rock, baby. Why?
Yeah. Yeah, like literally what you're saying. Like,
where's the excitement? Where are the bombs? I want to see about poof. I want to see some people being blown up. I want to see somebody's limb flying over here. Where is this? Where is it?
Yeah.
That's what people like about this genre. And they're not hitting that. And that's what I'm saying. You can't keep on doing this whole package of like, oh, like, it's Nairobi Half-Life, but now the military. It's Nairobi Half-Life, but now he's a swimmer. It's Nairobi Half-Life, but he's the president. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. Come on. We're bored.
Yeah, it was a little boring. Like, it was really boring.
It was so boring.
I just felt like the same thing again. Like, I didn't believe that these people were what they say what we're supposed to think they are, you know?
No.
Like, it really just didn't feel like people acting authentically like what they are. Like the one character, she's a police officer, and like, have you guys ever met a female police officer? Like, you guys know how they are, man. You guys know what their personalities are like, how they talk, like their mannerisms, like just like police and like cops in general. Like, we know how they talk. Like, not that she should be a stereotypic like portrayal of a cop, but like
Right.
I just want to believe like that this woman is a police officer. It just seemed like she's just dressed as a police officer, honestly, you know what I mean? And that also extends now to the military officers who are in like that
Yes.
that room, who I guess the higher up officers or whatever.
God, so
like
boring.
just the way they were talking, it just seemed really like flat for me, and like I don't know, it just seemed like there's no way this is how these military guys actually talk in real life. There's no way.
Yeah.
Like they're trying, and it's just.
And even
it's
if
like,
it is,
it seems
that's
like,
not what people want to see.
It seems
I
like
think that genres like this, you know what I mean? Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
Genres like this, like we were talking about this because Will and I are also watching the Shonda Rhimes classic, How to Get Away with Murder, right? Do they function like how lawyers actually function? Hell nah. You want to know why? That's not interesting. People want, like, they want the over the top, right? So I feel like these genres, like, if that, I agree with you. I don't think that's how they really talk. But even if it is, that's not why we're here. We want to see people screaming. We want to see bombs being detonated. We want the drama. Where's the drama? These guys, they're just mumbling like this, talking like this. And then we're to watch that for 40 minutes. Girl.
it just seems like it's like people who just think like, oh, this is how military officers talk when they're figuring things out. Like it
Right.
just really, because they're like, oh, well, back on base, commander, blah, blah, blah. And it's like I get it, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it just seems like, bro, like, what is it, like, what's it really like when these guys are like in the room and something intense is happening? And, you know, they're not on the field themselves, but they're just discussing and communicating with now, like, you know what I mean? Like that, like you're talking about, like the intensity, like just, I don't know, like those guys, like, come on, man, that guy's not a general. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who's a general, but like, come on, man. Like, you know what I mean?
I think what you're saying is what you were saying also earlier too. Like, you
Yeah.
don't believe it.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have to think about like what the audience will believe. I think, will they believe what authentically happens in the room? Maybe, maybe not. What they will believe though is they'll believe intensity. They'll believe yelling. They'll believe like Like, you
Yeah.
have to show that. That's
Yeah.
what the audience believes these guys experience in these situations.
Yeah.
Show that. Not what it's really, really like. Because again, it's probably less dramatic than we think. But ain't nobody want to see that.
But that's what I'm saying though. Like, I do want to see what it's really like. But
Oh,
but
I don't.
But then turn that up and make
Right.
it interesting. Like,
Right.
I want to see what it's like. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I enjoy that. Like, I personally really enjoy like, oh, like that's realistic. You know what I mean? Like, what's like, I don't know what a good example is, but like, just when I see something I like, it can either be completely not the reality, but then it's based off of what the reality is actually like.
That part.
That's what I'm
that part.
talking about. I don't want it to be like, because that wouldn't be interesting, obviously. But like,
Obviously.
you know what I mean? Like, I want to
Yes.
believe that this guy's a general. Like,
Yes.
not that he has to like, and like, I feel like that's what they're just doing. They'll be like, oh, he's saying commander after every sentence. He's saying Roger. He's saying
Right.
No, he's a general. Like, nah, man. I want to see this guy like being a fucking general, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I want to see him have a full range of
Yeah.
emotions. I want to see him express. Yeah.
A good example of what I'm talking about is I'm sure you guys have seen The Wire. If you haven't, go watch it now and watch the whole series.
Immediately.
Best show, man. But anyways, in The Wire, so okay, mostly in the first few seasons, it's about cops trying to catch criminals. So they're using the wiretap technology, all that. That's all it's about. But like, they did a lot of research. They talked to actual police officers. They did a lot of like research to know, how do cops talk? You know what I mean? Like, maybe the lines that they're writing aren't real things that cops would be talking about, but like, how do cops talk? How do they relate with each other? Like, so they have this like culture in the show of like how these cops talk to each other. They're like rude to each other. They like they play, like they mess around with each other, like they tease each other a lot, like, you know what I mean? So it humanizes this. But then now when they're out on the field and they're doing cop things, I'm like, these guys are like, it's like they went and hired cops to be actors. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I know exactly what
I'm
you mean.
talking
I think
about.
another great example of that is Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
Are they talking about real medical conditions? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are they using real medical jargon? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, they're having breakdowns in copy rooms. Like, they're sleeping with each other.
And that's
they're crying.
real. That's real.
No, it ain't. But that's what's great about it. It's
like,
not real. Like,
okay,
I'm
what
sure, like,
real about it is like these guys are people, and things like that happen. Like obviously it's not like how it is in the show, right? But like hospitals aren't just like rigid, like like employees be employees, they be people. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
I see
like,
what you mean. I see what you mean.
So like not that like what they do on the show is real life, but like it represents real people, and we can believe that these guys are doctors and they're real people. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like
yes. I get what you're saying. I 1,000% agree. Yeah, this did not hit for
Yeah.
that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also felt too like all the characters felt like one dimensional to me. I just kind of felt like, okay, like we talked about this when we were watching the episode. One thing that I realized with a lot of Kenyan shows that I have seen and have watched before, I realized that if you asked me to like give the personality or explain the personality of a Kenyan TV show character, I wouldn't be able to give it to you because they don't have any personality. You know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah, like maybe like they'll be in a scenario and they'll like, okay, yeah, like that's what they're going through. But I couldn't describe to you like what their personality is like. At most, it might be like, oh, like this female character is sassy, which please, I am sick of the Kenyan woman sassy trope. It's so boring. I'm over it. But that's as far as it goes, right?
Yeah.
Like I actually couldn't describe to you like, oh, like what are their strengths and weaknesses? Like what are they don't have any personality. Yeah. And I realized this when we were watching Mpakani. There was one scene where I think like it was when they were revealing that they were all part of this like military unit, and they're all saying hi to each other, and they all said hi in the exact same way. Like it was almost like this same exact dialogue was copy pasted for each one. And I'm like, that's really interesting. It's those small things that differentiate a character, right? Like the way that
characters
Will says
don't
hi,
have their own personality.
they don't have any of their own personality. That's also why it's boring. Nobody has a personality.
It feels like the same person has written these characters, and the only difference about them is, oh, this woman is a police officer. Oh, this guy is I don't know what. This guy is, you know what I mean? Those are the only differences is who they are, but not like their characteristics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the situations might be different, but the characters are inherently like bland and
an example
the same.
An example of that I remember. So now the scene when they're all leaving off to go on the mission.
Yes.
So they're leaving their families and whatever. It kind of all played out the exact same way. Like
yes, they were all just
the
like
family was
gotta go. Sorry.
Family members were sad. They were like getting ready, putting on their boots and stuff.
Yeah.
Then they have that moment of like, oh, like, sorry, but I have to go. Like, then they're given food, and then they walk. Elvis is laughing.
Exact same thing. Yeah.
They're
Elvis
given
our
food.
production interns laughing.
They're given food, and then
Facts.
they walk off into the distance. And for all of them, it was exactly the same. So I'm like, that would have been fine for one of them. But I'm like, in another one, make that guy with the girlfriend, like make the girlfriend be like crying hysterically. Not just there looking sad, like how the other guy's mom was looking, how the other guy, like, you know what I mean? Like some differences in like the people, like the characters. Like, why is this character different from this character aside from their job?
Exactly.
Why are they different?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They didn't even think about how these characters would feel about going back to the military, right? Because I'm like, realistically, right? If you have a unit of people, and you've seen this show before, guys, I guarantee you've seen this show before. There's a group, of a military unit, yeah? There's the one character who loves that shit. He's excited for it. Like, this is his life. Like, he's like into it. There's another character who's conflicted. There's another, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't even think, they didn't even show any emotion. They just okay, putting on my boots, see you.
Maybe one character's like, oh, this is the last job. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
But they're all on the same vibe, same energy.
Yeah.
It's like they all have all of them have one brain, man.
Literally.
Like, it was just
one brain.
Make
So
these characters interesting, man.
Give us something.
Differentiate
Damn.
them.
Yeah, it was so boring. We only got a couple episodes in. We really tried for y'all, but we were just like, I think it was too muddled.
I'll try to catch some other episodes, but like,
of course, if you want us to watch more episodes too, like, we'll do it for you. We love y'all, so we'll do it for you.
Maybe you guys are like, oh, on like episode 5, it gets crazy or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll check it out.
Listen, if you say it, we'll do it. But for the offset, like, it's too much. It's too much. But we have had a lot to say in this episode. Let's let these guys go. We've taken up so much of their time, but we appreciate you guys forever and always for following us, listening to us. As per usual, follow us anywhere, all social media platforms at Movie Buffs Kenya. Also, we would really love to get more of your feedback. So please tell us, like, what segments do you want to see? What movies do you want us to watch? What TV shows do you want us to watch? We definitely, like, this show is very much, as much as it is for me and Will, it's for you guys too. And so we want you guys to dictate the path that we go down. So hit us up. Our DMs are open. We got an email account. Elvis, what's our email? It's Movie Buffs Kenya because we're good at branding. MovieBuffsKenya@gmail.com. Email us, DM us. You can even DM me and Will individually. I'm at Koimwai on Instagram. Will's at DopestBand2. We're open. Talk to us.
Thanks, guys.
See you next time.